Hi, everybody. It is 3 p.m. on our Sunday early afternoon. I'm News 8 Chief Meteorologist Eric Snitil on a very snowy early Sunday afternoon. Yep, this is our winter storm, folks. Now, look, we're at a point now this afternoon where it's snowing at a pretty good clip everywhere into western New York. Is this the heaviest snow we've ever seen? Absolutely not. Is this the biggest snowstorm we've ever seen? Absolutely not. Is this still going to be a problem for travelers in a lot of schools tomorrow morning? Absolutely. We still have plenty more snow on the way. We hold tight with the overall idea here that many of you, by the time this is said and done, by Monday night and Tuesday morning, widespread totals of 1 foot to 1.5 feet. There's going to be these isolated pockets that have even more than that. All right, couple of housekeeping things. We are not just live here on CTV for WeatherFirst Plus. We are also streaming on Facebook Live on our News 8 Facebook page, which means I get a chance to see all of your comments, which is my favorite part out of this. Not only comments, but also questions, something you want to know, and that's what I'm here for this afternoon. We're going to be talking about the situation, how I see this evolving, why I don't want you thinking it's going to look like what it does right now all the way through Monday night and Tuesday morning. It won't. The warning goes until Tuesday morning. That's more of a process of the mechanics of still some yucky conditions, but it's not going to be like this. The worst of this storm is going to end up being from roughly now through midnight before we get a chance to watch this back off just a little bit. Let's start with this reality here. We have now had a slew of school closings that have come in over the course of the last several hours. It kind of got the party kicked off with RCSD. They shut this down a few hours ago, and I can't possibly just go through the entirety of this list, but if you want to, we have this online right now, rochesterfirst.com. When you go to the landing page here, it's going to be the first thing you see with that big thumbnail, Monday closings starting to come in, including RCSD. So you can click on that. And then this banner right here, just give that a click, and we have these organized alphabetically. So you could find every single school and understand it's still only 3 p.m. on Sunday. This list is going to grow. And even though I think the worst of this, like I had mentioned, going to be now through midnight, I can't imagine there's not going to be a bunch more of these coming in as we start to move forward. That's just my 2 cents, my gut. Current look at roadway conditions here. We've got 9 different shots. The way we've got this graphic organized is more west to east. So everything on the left side of the image, this is more westward toward Buffalo, toward Niagara Falls. The stuff on the right side, you're getting out into Victor and Geneva. And the point we want to hammer home with this is not lake effect. This is universal equal opportunity snow. I wouldn't necessarily call this heavy in all cases. And this is kind of how we tried to word this before. Most of the afternoon into the first part of the night, it's just this steady, moderate snow that at times, yes, will teeter on being heavy, but it's more the consistency that's allowing this to pile up. We've officially measured here a little bit over 4 inches already of fresh, fluffy snow here at the station. It'll be slightly less than that closer to Lake Ontario for now. Yours is still coming. And then farther off to the south, I think some of the higher totals, and we've got probably some 5-6 inch numbers already on the ground, pushing 1/2 foot, closer toward the thruway where we've had this narrow axis of heavier stuff that has existed since about the time we clipped the lunchtime frame here. So there's a range, there's a variation, but understand there's still plenty more yet to come. Let's take a peek at the radar situation right now. All snow, by the way. It's like 10 degrees. I don't need to put up our snow color table to know that this is all snow. When we keep it this green color table, it gives me some better texture and differentiation in terms of what the snowfall rates are doing. And then more importantly, it helps us diagnose where these mesoscale bands of heavier snow are starting to fire. In a synoptic storm like this, you have a widespread wall of snowfall. Obviously, that's what we're looking at here. But then embedded within that, we often get these narrow axes of snowfall, more higher rate snow intensities here, where you just have some almost like convective turning, basically, that causes the air to rise in these narrow bands. And you're seeing that right now with some enhanced snowfall rates toward Niagara Falls, getting into Orleans County, the northern part of Genesee. A lot of us in the Rochester area right now are seeing some increased snowfall rates. That continues eastward, getting into the Wayne County area. So I know it doesn't look like much. It's a relatively subtle difference. But make no mistake, it is a meaningful difference here, particularly when you take this out over the span of a few hours. Even if it's only a difference of about half an inch an hour in snowfall rates, that can give you a pop of several more inches more than your surrounding communities that aren't underneath that band. I'll note too, you go, well, Eric, I see some of the darkest colors here out over Lake Ontario. What's going on there? Well, that's where you're also getting some lake enhancement. And for the moment, because our surface wind is more easterly, we're not getting in on any of that. This is all just largely synoptic snow from the nor'easter. Once we get beyond midnight and that synoptic snow starts to pull on out of here, and this is why we still have the winter storm warnings, even though the widespread snow will begin to wind down, we will turn those winds sufficiently. We'll back them in a way that more of a northerly flow will start to drive some of that Lake Ontario moisture inland. And I think this time around, this is going to be Lake Ontario getting the better part of some of the lake effect snow for a good chunk of the work week. Even though the warnings go until Tuesday morning, we've got to be very clear here. Bitter cold is going to be here all week long. We're going to have additional lake effect. You know the drill with that. It's usual suspects with that, north and especially east of Rochester. But Lake Erie is frozen over. It's almost 100% frozen over right now. That does not happen on Lake Ontario. So we've now reached a point in the season here in the winter where the Lake Erie snow machine has really rapidly wound down, but we're not going to end up getting that. We'll back this up. So this is still a double-barreled low. We've got an initial wave of low pressure kind of right about in there, and then the secondary circulation and surface feature is going to end up being here. And what we often see with this, which, by the way, there's a big old mountain range right here. You got the Appalachian Mountains. It is not by coincidence that we see this same dynamic play out over and over again during the winters, where you get the secondary low that develops here. The first one ends up kind of weakening, and then number two ends up taking over. So this is the transfer of energy, the process here, where if this initial low was not weakening, we'd be talking about 2 feet plus snowfall by Tuesday everywhere, which is obviously not the case here. But in that transfer, you start to keep most of the heavier and better dynamics removed farther off to the east. But I will point out here too, even though there is a little bit of a break in the snow action right in here, look at the wraparound that's still alive on the backside. It's lighter, but just to give you an example here of the time span that we're going to be contending with here, even though the snow will back off at times, it's not going to be done. It's not going to stop. So this is part of that extended nature out of all of this. And you could still see that big trough digging across the south. But what's wild here, and it's not necessarily uncommon when you get these big nor'easters, there is severe weather on the south end of this. We've had tornado watches and even some tornado warnings for southeast Alabama and the panhandle of Florida, where they've got the warm and juicy air. So yeah, this is a big one. It's a big ticket deal. Here's how FutureView sees it, doing a nice job sampling the current situation here. Remember, these models do not necessarily do a great job at being able to isolate where these mesoscale bands of heavier snow are going to set up. So for that, we kind of just look at radar in real time and get a sense on what those are going to do. Air temperatures barely in the teens. We're going to be at times flirting again with single digits here later on the night. Through 9 p.m., nothing changes. This is still steady, moderate to briefly heavy snow. By midnight, you see now this looks more like Swiss cheese. It's still snowing. I think this is eating away at the snow shield too much. I don't think it's going to look that dry. But I want you to focus on the overall concept here that the snow is in the process now of backing off once we go beyond about midnight. Watch the wind flow. You see how now by Monday morning it has curled, and it is now more northerly. As a result of that, you're going to end up where all the synoptic widespread snow is gone, but we are now getting in on some of that redevelopment of some lake effect, especially areas along and north of the Thruway. And that is going to be the focus for the rest of the day on Monday, is primarily more areas closer to the lake. You got a northwest wind flow into the afternoon. The visuals of this obviously are very different. It's still the same winter storm warning, but just understand we're playing with a completely different flavor by this point. After midnight, the everybody steady, moderate to heavy snow is gone at midnight tonight. And then the rest of the day on Monday, all the way until about midnight Monday night and Tuesday, that's more the game that we're playing. It will be off and on, scattered. It will also be a bit more breezy during this time too, so a touch more blowing and drifting. And keep in mind, a lot of you are going to have a foot of snow on the ground by this point. So is travel going to be impossible tomorrow? No, absolutely not. Is it going to be impossible tomorrow morning? No, absolutely not. Is it going to be a cakewalk? No, absolutely not. It's still not going to be fun. But I really want to hammer home here that the worst of this is going to be from now into the first part of tonight. Before then, this begins to relent a little bit. Relent. Well, does relent ever give way to stopping? Probably not. I mean, we've just got continued bitterly cold air. Look at Tuesday morning. We're going to start off again in the single digits. Wind chills 10 to 20 below again Tuesday morning. The lake effect has shut down in the morning, but that's another, you can call it a cold front, that slides through later on in the day on Tuesday. And yet again, we end up with more favorable flow for some localized lake effect that will be along that 104 corridor, especially out into Wayne County. This is the latest high-res rapid refresh forecast snowfall, and this takes us out into early Tuesday morning. I am of the opinion that this is on top of, by the way, what's already fallen, which again, for many of you is somewhere between 3 and 6 inches. I would imagine at this hour, it's probably pushing more like 4 to 7 across a lot of the area. I think some of these might be slightly underdone because of the very high snow ratios. And then also realize that some of these numbers in northern Monroe and especially northern Wayne, there's going to be those pockets of much higher totals just because of that lake effect. So the point being, we're still early in the game with all of this. We got still a little bit of a ways to go. All right, a lot of folks commenting on this, so let me go back, just try to do the best that I can do here. Yeah, that's the deal, guys. There's a lot of schools that are already closed, and there's going to end up being more. I think it's just a matter of timing on, when each individual district decides whether or not they're going to go. A lot of folks asking about specific school districts. Again, we have got that for you on rochesterfirst.com. You just go to the landing page. It's going to be the first story that we've got here. We got a whole web team right now who does a fantastic job literally populating this in real time. As soon as we get these school closings that come in, this list almost immediately is updated. So this is fresh. This is going to be your one-stop shop on the website to be able to get all the latest updates. There are a lot. I cannot sit here and read through every one of these. We'll be here for 30 minutes. Just doing that, but just know that there will be more, whether it's schools or it's businesses. Yeah, Diane, I believe y'all over-exaggerated. Yeah, Diane, we get that, whether we get 10 feet of snow or 10 centimeters of snow. I don't think at any point here I could call this a forecast that has been inaccurate so far. So I suppose some of that is subjective. Have we had snowstorms before? Absolutely. We will have many more to go. Our job is to tell you how many inches of snow we think are going to fall. And so far, that has been a pretty darn accurate forecast. And the moving forward part of this, too, it's always nice when we build snow maps and we don't have to change them. That means we're doing a successful job here in communicating everything that's going to be happening. Chad says, you have fun delivering package for FedEx today. Enjoy the challenge. Chad, more power to you, buddy. Yeah, you folks have had a time here. Heath says, getting blasted over here on East Ridge area. James, I don't think there's going to be any real lightning with this. Again, unlike when we get thunder snow with lake effect, those convective bands are much more violent in terms of the air that's rising. This is kind of a slower bleed, if you will, of the air rising as we go in the atmosphere. So these are not really the setups that you're going to get thunder and lightning. You can with nor'easters, but I don't think we're crossing that threshold with this. Scott, great question. Any ice out of this? Man, has that been a big issue and concern across parts of the South. And thank goodness that is not an issue at all here. There is still freezing rain that is falling across parts of the Ohio Valley in the Mid-Atlantic. The Carolinas are going to end up getting more freezing rain. As bitterly cold and uncomfortable as it has been here, it has also been a blessing from that standpoint. No ambiguity on precip type. It is all snow all the time. And I would absolutely take this. I would take a foot to a foot and a half of snow any day of the week, even over just a quarter of an inch of freezing rain and ice. In terms of impact, it is a dramatic difference. Victoria says it coming down pretty good in Penn Yan. Yeah, I think it's coming down pretty good most everywhere here at this stage. And that is going to just be the rule of thumb out of this for the remainder of the afternoon going into the evening. Impossible to move around? No. The smartest idea to move around? No. And that's just kind of how we're going to play this out. So here's what we got for you. We got the big football game, obviously, going on. I think that already started. Should have already started here. I believe that was a 3 p.m. kickoff. That should run until, they budget it for 3 hours until 6. In reality, especially for a game of this magnitude, it's not uncommon for things to run a bit longer. We're going to have a newscast immediately after that. That's going to be on the TV side of this. I'll be here for that, whether it's 6, 6:30, 7. It's the first thing you're going to see immediately after that game. Following that, we're going to have another one of these updates at 10 p.m. tonight. And I would imagine by that point, we're going to have a lot more school closings to bring you up to speed on. That will also be simulcast here on Facebook Live as well. If that's an easier path for you, we'd love to have you there as well. 11 o'clock currently is our scheduled final newscast time tonight. So we've got between 6 and 7, 10 p.m., and then 11 or after, contingent on obviously how this NFL game is going to end up going. So we'll keep you up to speed on this. It's a snowstorm. We get these here in Western New York, but this is a good one. Yeah, it's one of those old-fashioned, just sit back, kick your feet up, relax, and get ready to be shoveling about a foot of snow around here by tomorrow. Back with you in a few hours from now. As always, you could follow me on Facebook. We're going to have some continued updates on there as we see things continuing to evolve. I'll see you in a few.
Get the Rochester First streaming app today for everything you love from News 8 On Demand, plus exclusive shows you won't see anywhere else. Search ROC and download for free on Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV.